Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Reality Realness with 3 S's. I'm your host here, ChanteleFrancis, with, for the first time, my sole co-host for a season, Ron. Ron,
Hello.
how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I can't believe this is the first time I'm doing this alone. It's kind of scary, but at the same time, I'm glad I've got some little bit of reality realness blood with me to tread through these waters.
Ooh, yes. Well, if you were to go on to Survivor, would you be going with Phil or would there be somebody else, he's not listening, that you would think would be your best person to play this season? So it'd be a Blood versus Water season.
You know what? I would love it if it was with Phil because I think we would both do a pretty similar strategy on both sides. But I've done a bit of a Blood versus Water in like the org world with my brother, one of my brothers, and he and I actually played in our first game together, and nobody knew we were related. So we got to the end of the game together. So we do pretty well together playing. So he would probably be somebody else, and I'm full out admitting that to my other siblings as well. I would pick Ben over the others. So but it would have to be Phil or my brother Ben would be the ones that I would go with. What about you? Who would you go with?
Oh my goodness. Okay, for Survivor, it's a little bit more challenging because it sucks a lot more. Like it's just more grueling. So there's a lot of people that might not want to, they'd want to be more pampered. So I'd be like, if it was like on a Big Brother season, I can find maybe more people, or even the Amazing Race would be easier to entice people. Survivor, I think I would have to go with JoJo. Because I play really well just games in general with JoJo, and he's not a complainer. He's always looking on the bright side about things. He's really interested in playing this outdoor weekend survivor up north this summer, and he's looking for a partner. So if you want to play a weekend version, I know somebody that's hosting and looking for a partner. I might even do it with him, but I'm hoping that he'll do well, and then he'll be invited back for All Stars. That's my plan. I think that JoJo would be a great partner. I know how to work with him really well. We generally see eye to eye on strategy and ways to maneuver, relationships with people.
Yeah.
And there's never really any pushback. So it's like, if I'm like, oh, I think we should do this, this, and this. And he's like, yep, absolutely. And he'll go and do X, Y, Z. And then vice versa. If he says something, I'm like, yep, that makes sense. And I'll do my part. So we work really well together, and he wouldn't be a complainer. And I think he would excel in challenges, but not come across as like this big physical comp beast threat.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I can see that for sure. JoJo would be a great choice for you.
Yes. So if you guys haven't figured it out yet, we are here to talk about Australian Survivor Blood versus Water season. Today was really the first day that I took a look at the cast. And so I'm still pretty, I'm not familiar with that many people yet. But it looks like it's going to be a good cast. So it's pretty exciting. Now, if it's your first time here on Reality Realness, welcome. We would love for you to subscribe and join us, because we will be weekly talking about the first, the 3 episodes of the week. And I believe we'll be doing this on Saturday or maybe Sunday, depending on what is going to be best for both of our schedules. So subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know whenever we go live. So we do have some friends here in the chat. So Sophie's here. Let's go, America. I mean, they have an uphill battle.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that for sure. Chantele, your nightmare of Kylan on the challenge might come true. Oh boy. Well, we're not talking about the challenge yet. I'm challenge free for 1 more month, and then I'll be deep into the thralls of the challenge. The cast is exciting, and I can't wait. Yes, Adrian, thank you for joining us here. We are going to do a draft pick. So what do you think, Ron? Do you think that we should draft teams? And if you have a winner from one of the teams, then you would win the draft? Or do you want to separate it and go through each person and pick one?
I really like the idea of drafting in the teams or the pairs. I think that would be a little more interesting to do it than going one by one by one by one, because there's a lot.
Perfect. That's the way I was thinking. So you read my mind. We could do Survivor together now.
Yay!
Because yeah, I thought that it would be, because if we broke them up, there's usually for most of the teams, there's a stronger person on the team. So I think it would be good to take the duo. I think it'll be better, especially with the twist that we've learned about. So did you hear about the twist? And it's not a secret twist. Like, it's supposed to be known. Do you know what it is?
If it was released like within the last 2 days, then no, I haven't been able to pay much attention. So
it's not really a big deal, but it's that all these contestants think that they're playing with their duos, but they're actually going to be playing against their duo. So I kind of assumed that was going to be how they were going to do that.
Yeah.
You're going to separate them and then come merge. Hopefully your partner will be with you and you can go back together again. So, so that will make this interesting as well. Like, will our teams be able to come back together? And I think it'll be more fun to follow that way. Because it's like, it'll be even for sure.
Yeah.
Pretty even anyway. All right, now, question of the day. Are you more blood or water?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I think, for me, in this type of game, I think... I don't know. Like, I think I could play with my brother really well, because, like, we've played games together our whole lives, and we've also watched a lot of reality TV together our entire lives. But for the most part, I think, like, my stepmom, I would pick her to play. If I ever did Amazing Race, I'd choose my stepmom for sure, or my best friend Anna. And so already there's 2 versus blood that I think chosen friend, and then JoJo's, who I also said, chosen friends for me, I think would be better for me to run the race with.
Yeah, I think it's just the name of the game. If it's Amazing Race, you're already paired with somebody, and so your intention is not to like try and manipulate them or outwit them and try and make them falter. You're working as a team, so you want to see success with the person you're running a race with. Even maybe in Big Brother, if you're like playing like as a secret duo and maybe there's an incentive to get to the end, you probably want to like try and keep them around as much as you can. I'll be honest, I know myself well. I'm not a team player. I like doing things alone. So I probably wouldn't want to have the baggage of trying to have to bring somebody with me if I don't think that they can keep up. But I think whoever I would try to go out and do this game with would know that about me as well. So I think I could have a bit of a blood and really stick with that. But I know my family knows.
But you cut them in a second.
No, I would not hesitate for a second to chop one of their heads off. It would be about what's best for me and what can I do to make sure. And that's kind of what I liked about this cast too, is a lot of them were saying that. They were saying, I would do whatever it took to make sure that I outlasted my partner. And I'm like, yes, that's the way to play the game.
Ooh. I'm like, I don't like, that is always been my biggest flaw, is that I'm loyal. Yeah. Insofar as I would probably fall on my sword to allow the other person to advance. You know what I mean?
Sure. I mean,
more likely, I would never quit, but like, I would make a decision, you know?
My husband's game that he runs, his Survivor game, we had the final season of his whole run, and it was the winners at war. And my brother, who won the first game that he and I played together with, and then I won later, we both came back. And my brother, who I said at the very beginning, it would be great if we could get to the end together and do this whole, brothers, we did it the first time, let's do it again this time. But my brother got a secret power in the game that he could cast a soul vote to eliminate somebody. And who does he choose to eliminate with that stupid power? His own brother.
No, so did he win? It only works if you win. I only support it if he won.
He did win the entire game, and I was not mad at all for him for using it, because I said I would do the exact same thing had I gotten that power too. So I was happy that he did that. But it's like, you want to try and think you'd be that way, but No, I'm happy he did that because I knew that there was no way of us being able to do it. Now we're at home. Conditions aren't as bad as they would be somewhere in the outback of Australia, so you're not as emotional. But you know, it's just fun to always have that sibling rivalry. I find it would be really fun to do
If
too.
anybody cut me on the real thing, I would
Yeah,
never speak to them again.
I,
Ever.
I did see your
Ever.
final words from Phil's Survivor, and I remember them very well. And that's the first time I was like, I don't know who this woman is, but I love her. Ripping those pieces of paper. Screw you, I'm out. I would do the same thing, but I'd be livid. But then in hindsight, it'd be like, you know what? I love that happened because then it would be like they played the
Epic.
game very well. It was a great move. Not mad at all. I did not vote for my brother to win, but
See, you're pissed still a little bit, but then after you got over it, but
he's fine. He won. We've moved on, supposedly.
have we?
Have
So
we?
Sophie wants to know, how do I watch these reality shows from different countries? Well, so you may have asked. I actually use a VPN and I got an affiliate link for it. So I'm going to put it here in the chat. If you want to use that, I use that to watch. I can watch 10 Play. And so I'm able to watch that channel. I'm also able to, as a Canadian, I couldn't find a VPN that allowed me to watch Hulu. So I can watch Hulu with it as well. And because my sister has an account, she's like, just use my password, and it wouldn't let me use it. So I tried this NordVPN and it lets me. So if you guys want that, I'll put that in the chat for you. I'll also put it in the description box below if you want a way to have a VPN that's seemingly really good access for a lot of things. And you could upload it onto a Fire Stick. So, and you can use it on your phone as well, which I thought was pretty awesome. So just in case you care, that's there for you. Yes, hi, Travel Jelly. Yes, yes, yes. Team Sandra. We're all Team Sandra.
Yeah.
So how do you want to start this? This is the first time I'm covering Survivor Australia or Australian Survivor at all. I did win the Survivor US one with the final
the
final 3 players. So I actually did really well. You had the remaining player after that.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like you're a guest in my home, that I should allow you to choose how we're going to do this. So you could either choose to go first, or you can choose to tell me to go first. But it'll be like a snake draft still. So the first person will go 1, and then the 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think there's 11 teams or 12. So
you know what? I love that you won the last one, and as much as I'm a guest in your home, I'm okay with you going first.
Okay.
I want to see how you start the ball with this. I'm very curious to see who you're choosing. So,
well, no, now if I'm going first, I thought I was going to for sure go second. I might have to think a little bit differently for my strategy. Okay, I think then that I am going to go. It's probably a little bit different than you're expecting, but one of these players, he's played before. And he was a little bit sneaky, but he had a mind for the game. And so I feel that him coming back after seeing the recent seasons, that he will come back with a vengeance. And apparently his sister was the one that urged him to play the first time around. So I don't know if she is going to be good, but I'm choosing siblings Andy and Kate for my first pick. He's an advertising consultant. She's a stay-at-home mom, both from Queensland. And I love that she's a professional poker player. So her being a poker player and him being a pretty decent player of Survivor, I didn't want him to get to your grasp. I feel like he could do really well.
Very good. Interesting pick. I think that if we were doing this individually, Kate would have been a little bit higher up on my list and Andy a bit lower, because while he's sneaky, and I think he does have a really good mindset of the game, I did have to look him up a little bit.
Remember he wore that visor? That visor that he wore?
I was like, it was the guy who wore the visor. That's who it was. But I was like, you know what? I think the detriment that he had when he was getting first, because their tribe in that champions versus contender season, the contenders won a lot of the challenges and sent the champions to tribal very frequently. And he was able to get to the merge. But I think what got him out at the merge was that people really just didn't trust him. So hopefully Kate levels that out a little bit. Now, he's going to be alone. He's not going to have Kate. So maybe that might change things up. But I think that that is a very good first pick for you.
And also what I like is that I wouldn't be surprised, because you're saying, you know, get rid of, you know, slice the throat of your mother to win the game. I wouldn't be surprised if she would give up Andy to allow herself to become a little bit more less of an obvious target, less of a strong team, so she can fade into the background. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's a casualty early on and then she's able to kind of skate through to the end. So I feel like one of the two of them have a very good chance of going deep into the game.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. See, my first choice. So you got 2 in a row. This is a very good position. Like, there's some very good teams to pick.
So it's interesting is when I was making my list, I was going through individually and I was figuring out, okay, kind of top, middle, bottom. Who would I pick? Who would be really good ones to pick? Who would be maybe in the middle? Who would be the bottom? And there was one pair that ended up in my top. So I'm going to have to go for them because I feel like I've got some confidence in them. And I'm going to go with Chrissy and Croc as my first choice.
Oh, and this is surprising to me. Okay, go on.
And you know what? It's surprising to me too, because I've watched all the seasons of Australian Survivor. I absolutely love it. Unless you're on a team that's stacked with like former football players or rugby players, you don't really stand too much of a chance to get too far. But there's something about Croc. Like, if it was me and I was there and I would walk up to him, besides him being like, I just want to fall into your arms because you look like butter, he looks like somebody that would be very trustworthy. And he just looks like somebody that people will want to keep around, not just because he's super jacked, but he's also looks like somebody that people just want to be around. So I would get that vibe from him that he'd be a trustworthy person. Chrissy, I think, is like going to be a big gamer throughout this whole thing. I just get this sense from her that she's got this really good strategic mind for things. And she's looking forward to this vacation from her kids. And I don't think she's going to waste that opportunity, because knowing a lot of my friends who have kids, when they get that vacation, they make the most of it. So I think that she's going to want to do as well as she can in the game. I think they're both competitive enough that they're going to be seen as good additions to any alliance. And I don't think they're going to be coming across as too much of a threat if they ever get to a point where they're together. I feel like they could almost be like a John and Jacqueline from season 29 of Survivor, where they're just the pair that people kind of want to play with because they just seem like good people to be around. So I think they're going to have an advantage.
So I was a little more hesitant about this duo, and it's just because I read that Chrissy has little knowledge of the game, and that just worries me, right? So if she's a stay-at-home mom, cool. I totally agree that she might want to make the best of her time away from the kids, maybe win some money, win that title. But I'm worried that she will not know what she gotten herself into, and it may be harder than she expected it to be. So I was just a little bit worried about her. And then with him, he does say that he wants to rely on his observation skills, but brute strength. So I'm worried that he might have that super brawn mentality that we saw from last season, where they can't see the strategy around it. They can only see the strength. And depending on how the tribes are kind of, separated, maybe people are not going to want the person that wants to keep the tribe strong and strength. So I was hesitant about them, but I do like everything that you said about them. And I want to see your version of them instead of my version of them, for sure.
We can only hope. We'll find out starting tomorrow.
Woo! Yes, and starting tomorrow, I will be going live, most likely on Nerdtainment's Twitter, but I will leave like a little arrow to follow us over there. So at 7 p.m. Eastern, we will be watching the episode live. Okay. Your next person.
Oh, I'm torn right now between two pairs, and I'm going to go with my. I don't want. My heart wants to go one way, but my mind wants to go another, and I'm going to go with my mind, and I'm going to go with Amy and Con.
Amy and Con.
Yes. Another pair of siblings. I get this sense that Con is this. He likes to think he's maybe smarter than he might be, but I saw two sets of eyes on him. I saw a smirky eye that kind of made me think like, oh, he's got arrogance and people are not going to see it. And if somebody catches a glimpse of those eyes, they're going to be turned off by him. But then I saw a bit of humor with him. And it reminded me a bit of Jericho, who won season 2. And so I think that he's got a bit of a sly nature to him, that I think he might have this likable personality and can kind of skate by on that a bit, but then really do some damage. And then Amy just looks really tough to me. She's a beautician and she's 24, she's young, but I don't know. There's something like, I think there's more to Amy than just surface level. And I really hope that we see her long enough to do. I think at some point this pair are going to go after each other. I just think that they're going to actually want to take the other person out, because I feel like they're going to be that competitive. So I hope that they do well. And if I was to bet on either one of them, I'd say Amy is probably going to win over Con at the end of the game. And if that's the case, I would love to see that, because I think it would be really fun.
Well, what I like about Con is the fact that he's been on a reality TV show before. So that aspect of the game is not going to make him shell-shocked. So I feel like he's probably going to have great confessionals, because he's going to understand like how they're going to be wording things and how to, play back challenges and stuff like that. So I think he's going to be a confessional king, we'll say. And I could definitely see Amy not wanting to be in her older brother's shadow and maybe taking him out, like you said. So I really want to see this duo. I love that he says that he will do whatever it takes to win. So I want to see that. I want to see him do whatever it takes to win. Sure. Great pick. I like them a lot. Oh my God, people are going to be so mad that we haven't picked Sandra yet. I just don't know if I think that she's going to be able to win.
I know,
love Sandra. It's so hard for her.
She's the queen. Queen stays queen. When I heard she was on this season, I was just so excited, because I will watch anything Sandra is in. But it's just so tough now, because it's like, you've done it 4 times. You were a coach on 1. You're known as this. What is it really going to be like? And that's tough, because if it was me on the show and she was walking up next to me and she was on my tribe, I'd be linking arms with her and saying, I want to ride this to the end with you, just because I like you so much. But I would know that everybody else would be looking at her going,
they'd be like, oh, she's got to go. We can't let her win a third time. There's just no way that she.
Especially
her daughter might have a chance, though.
Yeah, that's the thing. Nina could pull her up.
But I don't know if Sandra can do it. So sorry, guys, I'm not picking Sandra. I don't think in these next 2 picks. Jelly Donut, I know it's you. You guys were just talking about your name, though. So, but I knew it was you. All right, who do we want next? Who do I want next here? That's an interesting pair. Oh, this is who I wanted. So I usually like supporting those who have had similar life experiences as I have had. And so I want to support a super fan who was also a flight attendant. So I'm going to take a chance on these sisters. I'm hoping that since KJ is a super fan, I hope that she took maybe a look at Haley's playbook and maybe has figured out a way for her to maneuver through the game and get a W here. So I love that she's a super fan, playing with her sister, who's a company director. She's an ex-flight attendant, KJ, Kate. I think that she has a really good possibility of doing well if her super fandom translate into taking risks and being a decent game player. So I think that usually flight attendants do well in general. They get along with a lot of people. They're able to put up with a lot of garbage, literally. And I would like to see a flight attendant do well this season. So I'm going for KJ and Sophie.
That's good. I felt the same way in terms of the personality with KJ, that she probably can deal with a lot more than the average person could because of her previous history as a flight attendant. And just again, it's the eyes on a lot of these people. Something in her eyes just says, don't fuck with me. Ooh, don't screw with me. Sorry, children who are watching at home. Don't screw with me. So I think that's a good choice. Sophie, though, if I was judging them together, Sophie, though, I feel like maybe drags her down, because what I loved was KJ is saying, I will take Sophie out. And Sophie's like, no, I love my sister. I'm not going to do that to her. And I'm like, Sophie, your sister's going to screw you over. You should do it to her too.
Well, I'd love to see that drama. Sophie's the younger sister, so she might not want to do that to her older sister. Maybe she looks up to her. We'll see.
I don't know what that's like, because my siblings all look at me and think, we could have had better.
I'm the older sister. Well, I do have an older sister, but she's a half sister. So I'm the older between me and my brother, and he looks up to me. So if he even thought about cutting me, like, oh my god, no way.
Yeah.
No, it's not even a thing. Not even a thing. Okay, who am I taking next? I think I need some boys in my life. So I'm going to go. Pardon?
Who doesn't?
I know. I need some boys here.
There's a lot of cute boys this season.
Well, the cute boy duo that I'm going to take this time around are the in-laws. So Alex and Jay. So Alex is a warehouse operator. Jay is a drummer. Jay started dating Alex's sister. Jay is competitive, but Alex, so the younger of the two, the brother, is a super fan of the game. And I always want to support a super fan. So the fact that he was able to convince his sister's husband or boyfriend to go on Survivor with him, and he's competitive, I feel like they may have talked about what they could do to win the game. They might have strategized. They might have practiced things. He might have been like, okay, this is what you need to know about Survivor. He might have really coached him. And so I feel like there's a big possibility that they could do super well. Let me pull up a picture of these two. What do you think? Do you like these boys?
I like Jay. Jay, if we were doing this individually, might have been one of my top 3 picks, because I just get a sense that he'd be this. So many people would keep around because, again, they just like him and he could get by on that. Alex, I like the super fan part of it, but when I don't know, like, I just get the sense that he's going to outplay himself. I just hope that he doesn't really go super hard, like, oh, I'm a super fan, and maybe start referencing too many of the people who have done things before. I mean, I'm a super fan as well. I call myself a pioneer fan. I've been watching this since the very beginning, but I don't think I would be able to go into a game and like proclaim super fan status, because I think the expectations get a little too high if you're going to walk around saying that. I would definitely say I'm a fan of the show, but if I wouldn't start necessarily going too deep into trying to figure out what other people's strategies were and how can I apply them here. You have to kind of play with what's in front of you. And I hope that he does that, because I don't want him to fall flat thinking like, okay, well, David did this, or Pia did this, or, all these people did these things. It would be, what is Alex going to do to make himself do this? So I hope he does it that way, because if he does, that'd be great to see him go well.
Well, and I think, though, just kind of piggybacking on what you're saying, I do feel like Jay figuring it out will be more endearing. He won't come across as big of a threat. And so if he continues to play that angle, it's like, I'm just happy that I'm here, or like, I'm really likable. and just go that route, as opposed to like, because he doesn't know the game that well, actually. I think that I agree with you. I do think that Jay will do better than Alex, but I do feel as though Alex might have given Jay what he needs to understand the game in order to go far. So I think that Jay will go far.
Yes. Agreed.
Adrian, you probably figured it out by now, but yes, we're picking in pairs, and so we'll each have 6 teams, and then once it gets to the merge, I'll make a graph, and so we can see what it looks like one of those little the little visual graphs, and then I'll separate them into people, so it might be uneven when it comes to merge. Who knows how people are going to be voting, but yeah, when it gets to merge, it'll be individual, but it will be who is left on the teams that we'd already drafted together. So it's just a different way to do this. Instead of going through 24 different people, I think this is more fun.
Yeah.
All right, you got 2.
Okay. So
Jelly, sorry.
Okay, well, I'm gonna fulfill Jelly's wishes, and I'm going to pick Sandra and Nina as my next team. And I know I'm taking a huge long shot with this one, but I love Sandra so much. I have faith in her, but I have more faith in Nina to be able to do well. I think Nina has been listening to her mom talk about this for the last, almost 2 decades, and probably has absorbed a lot of information. And she's watched her mom play and probably have met several other players. And she just looks like somebody who's willing to take chances, somebody who's willing to get in there and play the game. And based off of the shape of the tribes, I think that Nina could have a good in with a few other people. I actually see Nina maybe aligning with somebody like Alex, and maybe some people picking them to try and be like 2 people who know about the game and use their knowledge. So I think Nina could benefit from doing that. But I also think Nina will be willing to take out Sandra at any point if she needs to.
And I think I agree with you here. And I think that Sandra wants her baby girl to have the same kind of experience that she had. So I can easily see Sandra falling on her sword for her daughter to advance further into the game. I think that she obviously would love to do well and win, but I don't think she would do it at the cost of her daughter's success. And so I don't see Sandra making it very far, especially she's a huge flashy target. Everybody's going to know who she is, even if they're not a super fan of the game. They're going to have an idea of the only 2-time female winner, or the first 2-time winner at all of US Survivor. She's such a flashy target. There's only going to be 2 Americans, them 2 on the season. Everybody else is from Australia. We saw how Russell Hantz did. He didn't have anybody that he was working with, obviously, and I don't think he's a good player. Sorry, Russell fans. But Sandra's just so good that I don't know if they'll let her go too far deep into the game, because unless she happens to be on a tribe with people that don't know who she is, which is mostly more unlikely, and then she can kind of gain some numbers and then people won't care who she is. That's a possibility too. But
she's got a few super fans on her tribe that probably will be able to take her out. But if I'm thinking about who's returning or who's coming to play again, she's on the tribe, I think, with Sam, who's returning. And I think that Sam's going to be potentially a bigger target than Sandra, because I'm not sure that Sandra is going to be as nervous or as worried or paranoid. I think Sandra is going to be a little more collected and possibly can get into the alliance if she's not trying to run the game. If she can get in and be with a group of people and say, I'll help you out, and then go to somebody and say, I'm willing to help you make a move to progress you further in the game, I think that's going to be her benefit. But I agree, I don't think she's going to get too far in the game, unfortunately. But I do think Nina probably could do pretty well.
So Adrian is already nervous for my team with the Andy pick. I think with Andy, though, this is the thing with him, is he's smart enough to, I hope, have learned from his mistakes, right? His mistakes is like going, like, pointing his finger at somebody right away, not really reading the room, not knowing where he completely stands in a situation. So if he learns how to assess situations a little bit better, I think that he could do really well, because he wasn't that bad, but he just made a few bad decisions. So if he was a person that like recognized Sandra, but was like, hey, I don't want you gone, I want to work with you, then like Sandra might be able to, pad him a little bit and allow him to go a little bit further. So I'm giving Andy, as a returning player, a lot of credit for the fact that they can edit their game, take what was working. They've seen other seasons. They know better what is going to be working or not. And I'm giving him, solely for the fact that he's coming back for a second time, the benefit of the doubt here.
Well, I think to Andy's maybe benefit, he didn't get too far in the game that he's known potentially as being one of the biggest threats to ever return to the game. So I think there's a benefit there for him. I don't think you need to be too worried with Andy on your pick, but he was just he's an interesting person. He's fun to watch. He was really interesting to watch.
I don't know. I felt good about him for the fact that, like, I just think he's going to do something different, and he's going to use his second chance as an opportunity to do much better than his first showing. So I could be completely wrong, and he could just do the exact same thing all over again, and I'll be like eating my words. But I am hopeful that anybody that wants to subject themselves to this a second time will have the intention of wanting to do better. I think that if that's wrong of me, to assume that
you go out there with the purpose of not wanting to try and do better your second time. You know what you're going to go through, and it's like you can't not be prepared mentally for it. So at least he has that leg up on 20 other people, including his sister. Like, there's only 4 of them who know how hard this is going to be physically. And he's out of the 3 returners from Australian Survivor, he's lasted the longest. So he knows to a point about how hard it's going to get. And I think that's going to be helpful for him too.
And he's going to know to latch on to those other 3 survivors. So we'll see. So you have one more pick.
Yes.
Right now.
And I want to pick boys because I'm just getting the vibe, unfortunately, that the men are going to be so bro-y. They're going to maybe latch on to each other. But
I say that to Travel Jelly. She says, I swear, if there's another Emmett on this cast, I will die.
I'm not an Emmett endorser. I would never tell anybody to go out into the wilderness wearing those shorts without some sort of padding on the front. Like, that was awful. He was awful. I did not like Emmett. So Travel Jelly, I'm with you. But you know what? I'm going to pick this team because I have a really good feeling about one and a really bad feeling about the other. But I think that they'll just be very fun. And I'm going to pick Mel and Michelle, the twins.
Oh, dang it. I was hoping that they would slip by you.
I love twins. Twins are so fascinating. And my brother, I would pick with me to go on Survivor. He's a paternal twin to my sister. And I love my sister a lot. But even just being paternal twins, they were so fun to watch growing up. And they had their own language, and they still have this really, really weird connection. But I think that their connection is going to be either a really good thing or a really bad thing. I don't think people are going to love that there's a set of twins out there. And I think
They
it's going
don't
to
look
be,
enough alike, though. I know they're identical, but like I feel like people will be able to tell them apart, which
yeah,
will be better for them to differentiate between each other. Because I think what people get scared of by twins is that, like, "Oh, I don't know which one's which. Like, I don't know if I said something to somebody and then it's the other one," and so they get
yeah,
worried about
for
keeping
sure.
track of them. So, sorry, continue.
And based off of their personalities, I think they're different enough to be seen as two separate players. So I think Michelle is the stronger of the two, even though Mel is the super fan. I get the vibe that Mel wanted to be on the show for the sake of being on the show. And I'm not sure how well she's going to do with the environment. Where Michelle, for whatever reason, she just to me looks like somebody who's going to embrace the entire experience and is going to be somebody who's going to be smart enough and savvy enough to get through anything that the people are going to throw at her. She gives me Haley vibes. She
Oh
gives me this
wow!
not too much of the physical side of it, but just kind of that ability to read other people. And I think her career as a speech pathologist is going to be really useful for her. Mel, unfortunately, just the promo video that I watch or the get to know yous, Michelle was too hung up on the material things like the flashy dresses, her two
Mel.
dogs, luxury. Mel, yes, not Michelle. The luxuries of life, and I think that's going to be really hard for her to let go of going out there. I think I could potentially see this being a Natalie Nadia situation where maybe Mel's
Right?
out first and Michelle goes to the end of the game. And if that's the case, I really hope Michelle does well because I'm really excited to see what kind of game she's going to play.
I'm totally with you. I agree with your assessments of both of them. Myself as well is a lover of twins. I've mentioned in other podcasts, but my brother had a set of fraternal twins. My sister just had in August a set of identical twins. My great grandmother on my mom's side, my mom's mom, is an identical twin. On my mom's dad's side, they had, I think it was the great grandmother of mine, had 4 sets of identical boy twins and 4 girls.
Wow.
And then on my level, so like my brother, me, they all of them had fraternal twins. So I'm destined to have twins. I've always thought that I was going to have twins. I wouldn't be surprised if I had the next girl twins. It would make sense just for like the family. Anyways, so I love twins. I've always had a fascination with them. I always thought that maybe I was a twin, but it didn't really happen in the end. And I've always just been jealous of the connection that twins have had. So I really wanted to pick them, but I couldn't pick them earlier, but I was going to pick them next. They were my next pick on the board. So I think they're great. I do agree that I think Michelle is going to do better than Mel. Michelle also kind of says that she's willing to kind of cut her sister. So the fact that she's willing to do that, even though she knows how much her sister loves the game, I think is hilarious and pretty cutthroat. So I'm definitely excited to see how well they do. I'm hoping that I would love for Michelle to be a Haley type. Like that would be very fun for me to watch.
Agreed.
Very fun for me to watch. So who's left? So we have Ben and Shael left. We have David and Brianna, Jesse and Jordy. Oh, there's quite a few people. Jordan and Josh. I don't remember who those people are. And that's it, I think. Oh, and Sam and Mark. Yeah. Well, I'm going to go with the devils that I know. So I'm going to take Mark and Sam. I don't specifically remember them. They were on season 2, right? Am I correct?
Yeah.
I remember him more than I remember her, but it could just be I would recognize her better if she didn't have makeup on and she was looking really dirty. You know what I mean? So maybe I would recognize her, but she looks too like clean and healthy right now. So and he looks a little bit more familiar. I don't specifically remember them, but season 2 was Jericho's season, correct?
Yes. Yep. Yeah.
And we have to Jericho. Sorry, travel jelly. Forgot about sexy jelly. So
Somebody likes a
mention him
good
again.
Cookie Monster.
Oh, eat those cookies.
Eat those
Yummy, yummy,
cookies,
yummy.
Jericho. Nom nom. Yeah,
I don't
Mark.
know how well they're going to do. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was just going to say, I remember Mark and Sam because of their romantic attachments that the tribe did not want to have around that early on in the game. They were part of a majority alliance, but then people were getting really nervous about it. But Sam also was very paranoid. And I remember her constantly asking the questions, are we good? Are we good? Are we good? And what's the plan? What's the plan? And they had a plan, and I can't remember who. I think it might have been Michelle. They might have been going after, but they had a group. They had somebody in mind that they were going to go after once they lost. But she got to the point of irritants that they just voted her out. And then Mark, unfortunately, just fell suit right afterwards because he was too big of a threat. They were voted out back to back.
I almost remember. You know what I mean? It's just like kind of hazy. Only,
Yeah.
and especially because I've seen so many seasons and there's so many episodes that like it's so long. It's like 100 episodes ago.
I know.
Who else is on that season? So Lukey was on that season. Was Shawnee on that season?
No, Shawnee was on the next season. That season had Lockie, Tara, AK, Michelle, who was really good.
Yeah, I wasn't rooting for them that season.
Tarzan and Tessa. Oh my gosh, why am I remembering all these names?
Yeah, you're disgusting. Is that the season, the first season of what was that girl's name that I liked but then when she came back, I didn't like her as much, but I still like her. She's kind of like a tomboy.
Daisy?
That's Daisy. Is that season or is Daisy after?
Daisy, I think was season
Daisy
4.
loved Lockie though, no? Oh.
Daisy loved Lockie. Daisy, I think, was season 4 with Luke and David. I think she was a contender. She was on the contenders tribe, I believe.
Yes, she was with that guy John with the mullet and the Speedo.
Yeah.
You love John?
It's so weird. It's just such a weird thing to like. But
I liked him too. I had a weird crush on him. I did have a weird crush on him. Hi, Adam. Yes, I do think that these siblings would vote each other out. I'm happy about that. I know. I'm sorry, Tribal Jelly. They were going to be next. So Ron chose my next two. I did want to do Sandra and the twins were my next two picks. So they were getting picked pretty soon.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good pick. Ron, Con might do well on the social side. Amy too, but could people find her weak on their tribe because Amy is on blood and the tribe looks stacked. Oh, do you know what? Yeah. I haven't even looked to see who was on like the split because I thought it was a surprise. Mm-hmm.
I thought there was a different twist when you mentioned it, but I did know that twist was going to happen, and I do see Amy on that tribe, but I see other people who could potentially go before Amy goes. The only thing will be is the dynamics of the genders and their identities, because they've got a lot of guys on that tribe that I kind of feel, unfortunately, are going to be very guys got to stick together, which I hate. I really am not a guys, we have to stick together. But no. I hope that Amy is one of those people who can kind of dig her way in, as well as Michelle, because they've got Sam and Sandra. And I think that returning status might be their downfall.
Yes, I mean, I agree. I'm only picking someone like, hopefully people don't remember them that well. It was like 6 years ago. Like they didn't place that highly, learn from your mistakes, know what to expect. So I'm giving them a returning advantage because we know a lot of people that have returned to the game have come back to win. So I'm just giving them, they have a leg up in my opinion. So Chavo Jelly says that Jonathan, the host of the show, talked very highly of Sandra in an interview. Okay.
And that's Jonathan. Oh,
I'm a Nico fan, to be honest, but Jonathan's okay. Do you like Jonathan better than Nico?
Is Nico South Africa? I haven't watched South Africa, so I don't really know. I know, jaw drop. I know. I need to. That's what I should have
That's
been
your
doing this
homework.
whole quarantine. Yeah,
What
that's my
are you
homework.
doing?
I've been rewatching everything else. No, Jonathan, when they had the towel challenge or like the post a nude selfie challenge, and he was standing in front of his car with an oil can in front of himself, it's just like that became my phone background for a little bit because I don't know what it was.
Okay, I know what to get you for your birthday.
There we
So
go.
Adrian says that Sandra's been really promoted this season since the announcement. I mean, they have to get the bang for their buck for Sandra being on the show. They want to have, they brought it to Paramount Plus, and that's an opportunity for Americans to easily be able to watch this content. So they're putting in a lot of marketing dollars into Sandra's name, getting some eyeballs on this season. So it doesn't necessarily, in my opinion, mean that she does well. I think that they're just using her name to get the buzz and then people hooked in on the season. Because say she goes out episode 2 or episode 3, once you're hooked in the season, you're in. But they just want to get people to watch the first episode. So that's what she's there for.
And they did that when Russell came over and played the game too. He was big in the promos for it as well. He was kind of a feature item because it's the legend of the Canada or the America world coming over to Australia, see how they compete. And he was 2 or 3 episodes in. Like he did not last long. So it's a possibility. But they do put a lot of marketing power into the Australian Survivor down in Australia. Like it is huge down there. It's like if there was a Canadian Survivor, you know that money would be spent heavily on promoting it, and train wraps, and the CN Tower would be tribal council now. Like it would be crazy. I just wanted to say quickly about Mark and Sam. It's interesting. A friend of ours from Australia knows Mark from being part of the army, and she came to our wedding, my husband's and I, back in 2019. And the gift she brought for us was a Survivor flag, and Mark signed it.
Oh,
so I will pull it out, and I'll bring it for the next time so that you can see. But it is a really cool thing because it's kind of those like, oh my gosh, you now know some of these people and the ties, and it's really cool to see. And I'm always asking her, who else do you know? Who have you met? And she's met a few of them beforehand. Like she knows a few of them, which is really cool to see. So, but she talks highly of Mark. She always spoke highly of Mark, and she always thought he was like made for Survivor. So I think he could do very well with this.
I hope so. Okay, so how many people have I chosen so far? 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have one more person now. Then you have 2. Then I have 1. Then you have whoever's left, I believe.
I think you pick. I get 2, and you get whoever's left over.
Oh, right. Okay, right. Sorry. So I need to pick really well right now. So the people that are left are Ben and Shael. So Ben's a tradie. Shael is a biomedical student. He wants to beast challenges. I'm always worried about that. And then she said that she struggles with getting caught up in emotions. So that scared me. Jesse is a triathlete and Jordy is a landscaper. I didn't write anything down about him, so that scares me. The father-daughter team, I think that's who I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with David and Brianna. So David is 51. He's a project manager. Brianna is 26. She's a digital producer. She thinks of her dad as a skull crusher, and she considers herself to be an entertainer and a social butterfly. I think together, that's a really good kind of dynamic. And so hopefully if they can make it to merge when they can work together, that's good strengths for them both to have. So yeah, that's all I have to say about them. Do you have any thoughts about this father-daughter team while I pull them up?
I didn't get too much of an impression from them, to be honest. Like Brianna, she seems like she has a really fun, bubbly personality, but thinking about some of the breakdowns, she's gonna have to really bring it physically. She's not gonna, I don't know if the bubbly personality is actually going to be enough for her, unfortunately. I think it's going to have to be some physicality attached to it. Now, rollerblading, in the sport of rollerblading, you do need a lot of body strength in order to complete those movements. And something that David said to her was that said about her in his get to know you was, if I'm determined, she's more determined. So like he's kind of instilled some values in her, and she seems like somebody who's really, really driven. But my feeling is it's her way or the highway. And I think that's the same for him. That's just kind of the vibe that I got, especially from him. I don't know that he's going to be flexible enough to adapt to other people's strategies. I think he's going to want it to be his way. And I think that's unfortunately going to be his downside.
I see that for sure, especially if like a leader of the tribe, people don't want to be led. It could be easy for them to gang up on him and get him out. But if she's a social butterfly, I want to see if she can maneuver her way through the game. I don't necessarily think that they will make it to merge, but I want them to. And I think that if they get to merge, they'll both be able to kind of help each other do better in the game. So I have my fingers crossed for them, but I can see the iffiness to them as a pick. But we're getting down to the end here. Chantele is mad at us. So this is exactly what happened with the Couch Potato Queens draft. LOL. I was screaming the whole time for them to choose Liana, Shan, and Erica, and it took forever for them to choose one. Well, no matter what, Travel Jelly, everybody's going to get chosen. And we don't know who's going to win yet. So we don't know if us choosing people later is a bad thing yet. So I'm sorry to give you stress. Adrian also is agreeing. Where I started right here. That Adrian's been there. Also saying that KJ and Sophie are wild cards to him. KJ and KJ I could see going a little far, but I don't see her sister lasting long. I love the idea of KJ, but you do have an advantage for the fact that I didn't actually see the little video clip so I don't know what their vibe is. I've only read about all these contestants, so you might have a better understanding of their dynamic and how they're going to maybe act in the actual game. I've only read about them and I'm making a decision based on photos. So just put that out there.
And it's from the videos that they're showing, and they're not showing. That's the thing about this is they promote some of the people. They don't promote everybody. Like Haley was not. What
are you laughing at, Ron?
I'm laughing at that comment from Adrienne. It's I don't know about your team so far. It's like you don't know. It's funny looking back on like the draft we did for 41. I remember looking at the list, and you look at JoJo's list, who he picked, like Heather and Tiffany, and you're like, I don't know about this, JoJo. Like, what are you trying to do? But Heather got to 4. So it could be anything. Like, you could have the upset winner here. And that's what's great about Australian Survivor, too, is they always seem to have an upset winner. Not an upset winner, but like
never been able to guess who's going to win any of the season. Like from day one, or the people that seem like they're going to win, they don't end up winning. And I'm always surprised by the journeys of the people from beginning to end. So maybe these people are terrible picks. And maybe I'll be like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed that I picked everybody that's going home first. I don't know, but this is just from their bios that I'm kind of guessing as to how they will do.
And it's just for fun. We're not competing for 500,000 Australian dollars. We're fine. We're going to walk away from this saying we had a good time. So you have a good time too, audience.
Oh my goodness. I'm officially Team Ron. Jeez Louise, guys.
I mean, if you want to be Team Ron, that's fine. Huh?
Adrian thinks that Nina might get taken out first rather than Sandra because it's kind of like get rid of her first half and then deal with her later. I think it would be the other way around. Also, Sandra's tribe is more stacked. I haven't looked at those tribes. So that's another thing too, guys. You know what those tribes look like, and so you can have an idea about what the dynamics could be. I'm still a little bit blind in that area. So
I don't disagree with that comment in terms of getting rid of Nina because Sandra is there if that tribe were to lose. That's not a bad strategy to do. That's what they did to Rob and Amber in Winners at War. But it's weakened that pair that you think is the strongest. But we're in a situation where it's blood versus water. They're all saying right now at the beginning of the game, I'm going to cut this. I'm going to cut my sibling. I'm going to cut my wife. I'm going to cut my husband. I'm going to cut my cousin. But when push comes to shove, are they actually going to do it? When we've seen this play out twice in the US version, we've only seen one person vote out their family member. Otherwise, the pairs have stuck together. So are you going to rely on that comfort, which you're not necessarily going to get if you're playing individually, or are you going to actually try to make that move? The Australian one's going to be very different, where I think they possibly will, because they play at another level. Like, it's amazing to watch. But you don't know. You don't know until you get to a point. And so they could be looking not just at Nina and Sandra. They could be looking at, like, say, Sophie is on the blood tribe and being like, oh, well, who's your sister? Who's your pair? And it's KJ. And then they go and look at KJ and evaluate that and be, KJ's a threat, so we should get rid of Sophie because KJ's a threat.
Absolutely. I mean, you definitely, when you are separated, you have to choose whether or not you're going to try to protect your teammate or allow them to be taken out of the game. Definitely when I played that weekend version of Survivor, we came in as pairs. And so this is actually how I'll tell you how it started. So we had to play an immunity challenge right away in your duo, and whoever was the winner was going to then be the team captains for the two tribes. So split us up. So me and my partner did win the first immunity challenge. So then we were separated and on different teams. And so we weren't back together again until merge. But I was always trying to, oh no, we should go after this. You know what I mean? Like, go after this person. Like, I was always trying to protect my teammate. And so people will be doing that. You're stronger for at least the beginning of the game with keeping your team person in. But I could see, obviously, someone's partner is going to be a casualty of losing. So, Sandra Diaz-Twine. Who came up with that one, Travel? It's great. She had t-shirts. Adrian says, I do say, however, Sandra, in my opinion, is going to surpass Russell, mark my words. Yes, I think she'll make it past two tribals. Yeah. I do.
Yeah, agreed.
Russell didn't adapt, no, to Australian style gameplay. No, he didn't. I feel like Sandra knows how to adapt. And I would expect Sandra to watch Australian Survivor, like, as homework. If she wants to go to win.
I think she's watched a few. The one thing in her video she said is she knows to say the word mate. Everybody is mate in Australia. So she knows some of the lingo. She understands it. And I agree. So Russell didn't want to adapt to play. He's like, this is how we play, and this is how I'm going to play, and you're going to play the way that I want to play. Where Sandra is like, I'm going to roll with what is happening, and I'm going to adapt my game to make sure that I last longer, which is why I think she's got a better fighting chance than Russell ever had.
For sure. I mean, Russell's not a good game player.
No.
Okay, so Adrian is asking, Jelly, exactly, do you see the difference on how, as to how Sandra and Russell view Australia after filming? I haven't seen that, though. Have you seen any, like, differences of their thoughts about Australia?
Well, I don't follow Russell because I think he's crap. So I don't know anything about what he would say. But Sandra, based off of her social media, because she's helping with the promo for it, she's got a lot of traction and activity with the other players already. So, like, they're all chatting with each other, they're all commenting, and a lot more people are following her. So I think that's where the fanfare is going to be there for her, for sure. But we'll see. Oh, Jelly, stop. Who do you want next, Jelly?
Well, Adrian wants you to pick. So honestly, I think these twins can make it far, at least the merge. I don't know about win equity wise, but I could see them blending with tribe pre-merge. Okay. Yep. Sorry, I thought I saw somebody say Shayla. Oh, this person. There it is. So all he has to do is pick Shayel, and then I'm prepping Ron. So I guess that's who you're doing next. Who knows? You got your last two people, and then you're leaving me with somebody.
Yeah, and you know what? Shael was on my top list, but Ben was on my bottom list. Because I'm not too confident in him. To me, they give me a bit of a Monica Brad Culpepper vibe, where I kind of think that he might be a little more arrogant than what he's coming off. Also, so I know you didn't see these videos. I'll find the playlist and I'll send it to you afterwards.
So I can be like,
because
ooh.
I had to watch it on YouTube. He just didn't seem like he had a grasp of what he was actually doing, and he calls himself a super fan, but he was always contradicting himself in his comments. So I just didn't know if I trust that. But Shael, yeah, the emotion part, that's where it's like, okay, yoga people have done pretty well when it comes to the game. They tend to have that calming personality, unless you're Vetus and you're deciding to give back rubs to all the women while you're wearing the weird underwear in season 31. Do you remember that? In the first episode, when they get there, he wants to give everybody a back rub to make sure they're like ready for the challenge.
Wait,
and that's
who?
how he Vetus.
Oh, Survivor 31 USA.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
So anyways, but I think I'm trying to think of if she's the better one. You know what? Yes, I'm actually going to go with Shael and Ben for my next pick then, because I have faith in her, but I don't have any faith in him.
Well, I already said with her that like I'm worried about getting caught up in emotions. That is troublesome for me just to witness these. If you're going out there, emotions are going to be running high. You're going to be starving. You're going to have people yelling at you if you don't do well. And so I hope that she can handle it. And not be immediately annoying to her tribe. So hopefully she can do well. I didn't really have them very high just for the fact of that. And he wants to beast challenges. And that was like an Emmett vibe for me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, I one thing I hate about the end of Brains versus Brawn was, what was her name? Dana, was it?
Danny,
yes. And just how she was like, yeah, she only really cared about Braun. And I was like, what the, like, I don't care about Braun at all. You know what I mean? Like, at all. It adds on to a game.
I'm with you. I got the pounds to prove it.
But
no, like
she only valued people by Braun. It's like, oh well, like tell me, I'm a Braun. Like you tell me how Braun's gonna be, like why I should give it to you because you didn't win challenges and you weren't brawny. And I was like, I think it's more impressive to not be brawny and getting to the end intentionally, not being dragged.
If I'm being so the three teams that are left, or the two teams and then Shael and Ben from this pick that are left, were like three of my bottom teams, because I think they value the emphasis. They emphasize too much on strength and being needing to contribute to the challenges, and I don't agree with that, because yes, there's a lot of physical aspects to this game, but my mentality is they're not doing anything that you can't do. If you can't do it, that's on you. You're holding yourself back, and I understand that, but that's like one component to the game. There's so many other things that you've got to be able to do in order to survive long in the game. And if you are not focusing on relationship building, camp contribution, just talking to people and getting to know them, and you're focused on, well, I want to eat the rice because we got a challenge tomorrow, or I'm not going to go help collect firewood because we got a challenge tomorrow and I got to be strong for the challenge. You know what's going to happen is you're going to get to the challenge and you're going to falter, because guess what? This is not the gym. This is not you surfing on a wave. This is not you running through a forest and jumping off it. Well, it might be running through a forest and jumping off a cliff. These challenges are designed to push you, but also test your flaws. And there's going to be a lot of flaws that are going to be shown. And I think what the downside to Ben is going to be is he's going to see, I don't think he thinks he has flaws. And he's going, Ben and one other person that hasn't been picked yet. I just don't think they think they have flaws. When I'm like, you have these flaws and you're going to be seeing them.
Okay. So, out of the last two teams, who are you taking and who are you leaving me? Oh, I didn't pull up. Did I show the whole on your team before? Let me just show that team beforehand. Shael.
The one thing to Shael, what I think Shael will be able to do is because, so while I don't think they should be focusing necessarily just on strength, part of Shael's strategy is going to try and align with those people who do want to see, that do also share her mentality about health and wellness, and strength might be a part of it. But there might be people out there who she connects with that she doesn't really realize that she would have connected with before. And I think she might be more open to actually trying to get to know people, where I think he's just going to gravitate immediately to the guys and ignore all the girls. I think he's not going to care about the girls at all. And there's 24 people in the game. There's 12 people on your tribe. Everybody's a player. You have to account for everybody. I think she will. I don't think he will.
And if he's tall, is 6'4", and so people are going to be thinking he's going to be pushing, I would expect, for people to keep him and keep the tribe strong. But people will be like, but once it comes to merge, we don't want him to be here. So I think that he's going to have a very thin line that he's going to have to walk in the beginning of this game. And I don't know if he has the finesse, but I don't know what he sounds like or what he talks like. So we'll see. But they're a very attractive looking couple.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, and no, the video had him shirtless a lot. He's got a lot of tattoos. I think the problem is going to be he can't bring a razor with him, so he's going to be growing hair where he doesn't have hair right now, and it's going to be very bad. I think he's bald through and through, except for the top of his face and head. I think he likes to make sure he's maintained.
Okay, I think maybe he'll get some laser.
Hey, if you win, why not?
All right, so who are you choosing next?
So
last.
I think I'm going to have to go with, I don't really like either of these teams because I'm not a bro-y person, but I'm going to have to go for the brothers, Jesse and Jordy.
Okay, let me find them.
Yeah.
Let's find them.
And I'm going to do that. I'm going for them because, well, like they're 22 and 25. Jesse is 22. Jordy is 25. They're both physically fit people. The one, I think, just the charisma about both of them. I feel like they are going to carry themselves well, and people are going to want to be around them. There might be some people who are a bit older. Like I could see David maybe being like, "Oh, you remind me of my son if he has a son, and I want to hang out with you," sort of thing. Like kind of, almost like what Xander was like in 41. Like I just think that he's going to have they're going to have some radiance about them that people are going to like. But the biggest thing that's going to be in their way is going to be the same thing that's in the way for Ben. And I also feel like for the team I didn't pick is they're going to be so focused on the fact that they are ripped, they're cut, they are here for the camera a little bit, maybe they're here for the girls. Like I wonder where their focus is really going to be. So I don't have huge faith in them. I think Jordy, who is the older of the two, the one on the right, is going to he even said in his video, I have 3 years maturity on him. And I'm like, dude, you're 25. Like, let's calm it down. You might think you have that maturity on it, but you don't have the maturity on the people who are older than you, and you're going to be one of the younger people. So, but I think that he might be able to be a little more suave in managing relationships.
So I didn't really write down anything for these two, other than the fact that they're 22 and 25. Jesse's a triathlete and Jordy's a landscaper. And there was a little pun, I think, on this website that said he's great at digging himself out of trouble or something. And I was like, So he gets in trouble. I'm like, is that good or bad? So he could be kind of crafty and maybe kind of sneaky. which would mean that maybe people will be like, oh, is he looking for an idol, or is he doing this, and maybe second guessing all of his stuff that he's going to do. So I do feel that the landscaper, I guess the older brother, may be sneaky for the reason that they say digging himself out of whatever. Unless they're just trying to be funny and clever in the article. That's what I'm going on here.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say his video was him digging like constantly, while Jesse's was him running because he's a triathlete. So like they are living up to kind of the stereotypes that might have gotten them casted in the game. Right. And if that's what it's going to be, they're not going to have any other layers to it, and it's going to be very difficult. I think Jesse, the younger of the two, said he's a super fan, but I don't really get the vibe that it's for anything other than like them, like the people who are like, oh, I look up to Malcolm and Ozzy, and they're such great game players because they know how to do the challenges. And it's like,
they're good at getting fish.
Let's calm it down. Yeah.
I don't know if I have really high hopes of them being great game players. They may last a while as a contributor to the tribe physically, depending on how that goes. But one of the two of them are going to have to lose every challenge. So I don't know if they're going to be able to finesse their way out of being voted out. So we'll see what happens with them. But I don't really see them doing that well.
Yeah,
unfortunately. Okay, so this is off topic, but Jelly says Jelly was devastated that Flick wasn't on this season. Was she an option, or is it just, or was that just wishful thinking of Jelly?
Oh, is this which Flick though? There's been so many. Is this All Stars Flick, season 1 Flick? If it's by Benry, her and Benry from Nicaragua.
I don't remember Benry. Is it Flick and Brookie and Flick? Flick?
If it's those two, because I know Flick, between those two with Brookie and Flick, Flick's cousin is Benry from season 21 of the US version from when they were in Nicaragua. But there was also Benji he's related to somebody else, Annalise. Benji in season 3 of Australian Survivor. He was interesting. I don't know.
I don't remember who this is, Benry.
But if Flick, between Flick and Brookie, I was really happy that Brooke did much better in All Stars than Flick did, unfortunately. Although I enjoyed both of them a lot. But I wouldn't see her doing that well because she's done well and she's more notable in terms of legends of all Australian Survivor, where Benry played 10-ish years ago, and I don't think he made that. He called Alina a dirt squirrel in one of his voting confessionals.
I just saw that right now. I'm like, I don't remember.
Yeah. I like Benry and I have the same birthday, so I would be rooting for that.
Ooh, that's something I'm going to go to see if I can find out all their birthdays, because that will also inform my thoughts about my draft. Since
I sometimes look at that too, and Sarah from season 41, her and I have the same birthday. And I'm like, that's where I look sometimes as well. Yeah, Sarah from 41. I didn't realize we had the same birthday.
She's a Cancer? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I see that now.
Well, it's funny though. I feel like I would probably play like Kim Spradlin, and she's also Aquarius. I felt like all the people that I think I would play like are usually my birth sign, which is, I think, very interesting. Or I like their gameplay. I'm like, oh, I like how she played, and I'm like, oh, that's probably why. Okay, so if you're choosing them, that means that I get them. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So we have Jordan, 29, personal trainer. Josh, 31, pilot. That's good. Smart, most likely. They're cousins. Now, what I do like about them is that Josh is a self-proclaimed armchair survivor. I like armchair survivors because they have a lot of knowledge of the game, but they haven't had to put them to task. They haven't had to see whether or not their knowledge and what they think should happen to be a good gameplay. They just don't know if it works yet or not when they're actually playing. So I am excited as someone who is kind of an armchair reality TV expert. I want to see if he could do well in the game. So out of the two teams that were left, I was preferring to have this team for the fact that we have at least knowing that he's an armchair survivor expert, which means that he knows that he might not be able to do well, so he's going to have to try really hard. So I'm hoping that he'll try really hard.
Yeah, I agree with that. I didn't realize that he described himself as that, but I just couldn't pick Jordan in any way, shape, or form. To me, just seems like one of the most arrogant people that will ever play this game. In the video that I watched of everybody, Josh said that when he found out that they were going on Survivor, Josh was like, how do I mentally prepare myself for the game? And Jordan said, how ripped do we need to get for this game? So he's there for the cameras and he's there for the vanity. And I think that's going to rub everybody the wrong way. If we were doing this individually, like Jay, Josh would have been one of my first picks because I do agree. Like, I think he's going to be a better player at the game. I also, when you watch the video, he walks up, he's the only one, he walks up the stairs and they just capture his butt. And I was like, oh, that's a winning ass. So good for him. But he just seems like he'd be a more well-rounded player. So I think that's a good person to, the name Josh has been cursed.
Yes, it's because of Big Brother and the challenge. It has been, and now we're going to see probably Survivor Australia.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's so unfortunate for him because the other thing too about Josh is if people are judging you based off of your partner, I don't know if people are going to be too kind to Jordan. If he looks like the type of person who's going to mouth off at a challenge. So yeah.
Okay, well, I don't have that much faith in these two here, but I do think that Josh will do better than Jordan for the reasons that we already discussed. It's clear that there is a strong enjoyment of your team, Ron. So your team consists of Amy and Con, Ben and Shael, Chrissy and Croc, Jesse and Jordy, and Mel and Michelle, and the Queen and her daughter Nina. And then mine, since you guys hate this so badly, is Alex and Jay, Andy and Kate, David and Brianna, Jordan and Josh, KJ and Sophie, and Mark and Sam. I actually am fine with my team. Like, I don't think it's as horrible as they're making it out to be.
I think you'll be okay. And you know what? We don't know how this is going to go because it could be. I could have picked people's favorites in terms of personality, but they could be all awful game players. We don't know. So, well, I appreciate it, but I think Chantele's picks are good picks too. So I think we're all on the same team that this is going to be a great season.
Yes. Oh, Chantele, I tried. I really, really tried. You guys are so dramatic. Is Shay going to get to the endurance challenge? Like, we don't know that. I can always see her having a hissy fit and people being irritated by her and voting her out. Just for the fact that she knows that she's emotional, that's not good for Survivor. It just really isn't. You can't be annoying at all. And so,
for me, I know I'm an emotional person, and so I know that if I was actually out there, things would get to me. And so, while I think that I'd be really good at maybe the strategic part in the social game, unless I have somebody out there who's going to be at the same level of bitchiness that I'm going to be at, I'm going to annoy everybody. So she needs to have that person in order to get there. And if Ben's the only person who's going to be able to help her with that, it's not going to work for her. So
that's what I think. So Jesse and Jordy once again could go either way, whether pre-merge or merge. But I could see merge for both of them. I mean, I can see anything happening. Especially because I haven't seen any of these videos. Oh, Phil's here. I'm sorry, I'm behind on these comments. The queen will always be queen. If either do well, it will be the younger. Okay, so they are on to become famous. Yeah. I mean, or get some money, get some clout, have her daughter be called into US Survivor, you know, like, I mean, I don't mind it. Do what you gotta do.
If you're going to pay me to go out and live in the Australian outback and it's going to be able to afford me to not have an office desk job for a few years, yeah, sure. I probably am signing up as well.
Absolutely. So it's a season 1 and All-Stars Flick. That's the Flicky that I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. So yeah, Flick's cousin is Benry from the Nicaragua season. Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. And then so now he's saying Flick was on Amazon? What?
He might be saying amazing.
He was amazing. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Yes. Yes, there's a lot of J names. I was noticing that when I was like looking at this. I'm like, oh my god, we've got a Josh and a Jordy and a Johnny and a Jojo and a Justin. Yeah, Jay and Jesse and Jordy and Jordan and Josh. I guess it's not that many, but it seemed like a lot at one point. Well, I will put it all together and make a little board so we can see whose team is whose. And then maybe I'll put a little flag on the bottom to see which tribe that they're on so we can see how they're separated. And we'll see how this goes because my favorites never do well. I had the last picks when we did Survivor. So none of the people that were my number 1 picks I had on my team, and I ended up having the final 3, right?
Yeah.
So getting the favorite isn't necessarily the winning strategy.
Exactly. Yep.
So we'll just leave it at that. I know you guys wanted me to choose Sandra, and I'm sorry that I didn't, but I wanted to do well. I love Sandra. I'm happy that you have her, though. That's great.
Why, thank you. I'm happy that I have her as well. Because this is apparently giving me a lot of social clout and realness with 3 S's.
Okay, final question before we sign off. Wait, are we really this long?
I guess so.
Like a second ago, it was like 40 minutes, and now it's an hour and 27? What?
Yeah.
Like, no, literally. I was like, I thought we're at an hour mark right now. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
well,
so
I know I can do an endurance challenge well because I've been sitting on the floor for an hour and a half and I haven't had to get up to move. This is great.
You're amazing. Okay, this is the final question. Who do we want / think is going to win? I think just because everybody is so opposed to it, I'm going to put my eggs in the KJ basket, root for my fellow flight attendant, hope that she has, as a super fan, she's learned something from Haley, has been able to maybe adapt her gameplay in that sense, and will be able to strategize and get to the end. So I'm just going to put my eggs in KJ's basket. What about you?
Oh,
Next up is Nina, guys. Next is Nina is going to win. Okay, guys?
So I think I'm going to have to say I really got a good vibe about Chrissy. I think Chrissy is going to she doesn't know much about the game, but I think that's going to be helpful to her because she's not going to be bogged down with thinking too much about what others have done and what her favorites might have done and how they would do what they would do. I think she might just have a gut instinct and go far with it. I get the sense that she's a successful businesswoman, and she manages a family which looks quite large. But I think Croc will give her some tips as well. I'm hopeful that she's got a bit of a devious nature to her, that she'll know when to zig and when to zag, and not be too held up on wanting people to like her too much. That's another thing. I just don't feel like she's going out there necessarily that she's like, oh, I'm there for 47 days and we're going to be best of friends when we're done. I think it's going to be focus on the game and get it done and still make people like her. So I'm hopeful that she wins. And if I'm picking a second person, my second person I'm going to pick is Michelle. And I think Michelle's going to do pretty well as well. So, but I will put Nina up there as well. I think Nina's going to do well. I'm hopeful for her. I want the queen. The queen will stay queen no matter what. She's not getting rid of that title anytime soon. So I hope she does well. But I think this is just going to be a really enjoyable season. I love Survivor, but Australian Survivor has reinvigorated that love for me because they just do it so well. It's just so fun to watch because you are getting more out of the series because they do it 3 days over the course of several weeks. I'm just so looking forward to it starting again. It's just going to be so much fun.
I'm with you. So thank you everybody for shading my team and joining us here in the chat. Don't worry. I appreciate everybody having their own opinions. And if I lose, I lose. It's just a draft. We don't have a lot of money riding on this one, but maybe it'll change at the end by the end of this. All right. So lastly, if you guys want to watch How Not Pick a Draft, watch Nerd Entertainment's winner at War Drafts. Wait, what? Jolene's draft was horrible but iconic. Oh, okay. If you guys want to watch how to not pick a draft, okay, watch Nerdtainment's Winners at War draft. I have seen that in the past. Hilarious. I probably won't be watching that again, but if anybody else wants to watch that, we're just like, why are you picking those people? I definitely watched it, but it was a couple years ago, obviously. So thank you everybody for being here. Do us a favor, subscribe. As I mentioned earlier, I will be going live on Twitch with Sarah from Nerdtainment, most likely on Sarah's channel on Twitch. So that's the Sarah Atwood, I believe is her name. I will double check and put that in the description box below. Also, I'll put my affiliate link for the VPN. So if you want to be able to watch it on your own, you could use that link and you can get, I think you get a discount and then whatever. It's good for me somehow. So that would be a way to support the channel as well. And then lastly, Ron and I will be going live, recapping the 3 episodes of the week, most likely on Saturdays at 5 p.m. That's kind of what we have placed out there for now, unless something changes. So do you have any final thoughts, Ron, before we say sayonara?
I'm excited to do this, and I love that there's people who are excited about this as well. This is going to be great.
Yeah! Yes, it is going to be great. I'm so excited to talk to you about it because you are probably the most knowledgeable Survivor person that I know. So it's going to be fun to chat about the season with you. So I hope it's as amazing as Brain versus Brawn was, because that would have been a really fun season to talk about. So yeah, I can't wait. Starts tomorrow or tonight at midnight. Yes! Yay! Bye, everybody. Thank you for being here. We love you in the chat, even if you don't love my team. That's okay.